This is Mario with MIA Microflight, and as typical of my morning breakfast, I tend to do a short video of the stuff that I've been working on. And these cactuses are something new that I just came up with in order to complete this desert theme. All these palm trees and all this foliage that I did previously for this turbo racing track that I've been showing. This is just a section of the track and some of the elements that comprise of that track layout. I got finished with some of these buildings. Those are all illuminated buildings, and so I've been working on some extra items such as these palm trees, and these are the latest ones. My wife was saying if I'm going to do a desert theme, that I should complete it and make some additional greenery to match that theme, and so I decided to do these cactuses. The way I approach this, this can be, can be quite a challenging part when you consider how you're going to print this. My first part that you see there, it's a little bit too large for this scale. It's a 1/76 scale, but I printed this and it gave me a sense of proportions, and so from there I scale down to these little guys here. These are actually half the size of those, and the actual ones that are going to be part of this track are a little bit larger than these, at 75% of this particular size here. So I had to play around with the scale in achieving the what I think it's in proportions to this 1/76. It's a little freedom there in adjusting the sizes, and I think it's fine because this is not a blow by blow layout. I'm not trying to achieve architectural precision here as much as just doing it for the fun and something that looks the part. So there's a little bit of freedom in that respect. But the way I approach these particular cactuses is I started with just some basic shapes. I started with just a round, just a circle, and then I extruded that. And then from there I started to attach these curves here, just a line, a curved line, and extrude that circle along that line. Basically, that's how you do things in CAD. But then I started looking at photos of real cacti, and I started thinking, how can I give it that texture that these types of plants have without too much complexity. And so what I did is I took that circle, instead of a circle, I made it into this pattern that we see here. It almost looks like a gear, like the teeth of a gear. And so I took that profile, and then I simply extruded, and then I completed the tops with a half moon geometry to blend it in to make it very smooth at the top. And then I started. I created the stem. The vertical stem is a single element, and then I started doing these other ones as separate ones. And then when I got done with the location, when I got done with these and decided where the location was going to be, and it's just basically just all these arms are at 90 degrees apart. Very simple, and they're staggered. And then I took those extrusions as separate elements, and then I decided to combine and blend it all as a one three-dimensional geometry. And from there, I printed this one with supports. That's what that base is about. That's actually a base that I took it on the bandsaw after, because it was much taller, supporting the bottom of these arms right here, just about maybe halfway there. And you can see a little indentation vegetation there from the supports. And so I took that support structure and then I sliced it, to create that base there. And that's how I came up with this cactus. And I think it looks the part. So I didn't go any further. I was going to blend it a little more here in these connections here, but I decided not to do that, just to save on time. So that's what you're looking at here. This right here is also something that I've been working on. Desert plants here in Arizona are, of course, because being that it's mostly been a desert here in Arizona. Now that it's populated, it's got a lot of greenery, and for many people coming from the east and the west coast here and populating Arizona for many years, it's become there are areas that they no longer look like a desert. It looks more like the like the East Coast sometimes. And so, but the plants typically here, the regular plants are very are plants that need to survive in the desert, and obviously those plants are very rough looking. And so that's you have various plants that have a lot of elements with organic elements within them that look very hostile. A lot of these cactuses and cacti. I think that's the name for plural for cactus. And bushes, they're very rough looking. They have the spikes and needles, and and that's just to fend off, some of the critters that exist in the desert, and basically they can survive without much water. And so, this is one of those plants that you would see here in Arizona, or in desert areas. And so I try to mimic that by creating these leaves as flat sheets, very similar to what I did when I did those trees. Those are also very thin prints that I just stacked, together, and then I started bending them. And on this one right here, you can see that I started adding some. On this one here, I added some dillweed leaves. These tiny little leaves that come as part of the dillweed condiment. Then I put I doused this with a thin glued, and then I was sprinkling those dill weeds on top of that tree, to give it a little more three-dimensionality and realism, and that's how that came out. And so these were also printed as flat items, and then with my heat gun, I have this heat gun that has a little tiny nozzle. I can control the heat. I was able to bend these, and then I have a tube here where I put these flat sheets on top of the tube, and then I heat the top section, and it automatically bends itself inside of that tube to create these bends as you see them. Then because they're different sizes, they're just layer one on top of the other one, and I don't want to go too crazy here, and so there's only three sheets of these leaves that are bent and then shaped to create this bush here. And so that's something else that I decided to do while I was playing around with the scale of these plants here. So I think I'm pretty much complete as far as the greenery here. I mean, I completed the buildings. I am working on another building to balance out the 8 foot by 4 foot track layout that I show in my other videos and in my CAD model. And so that building is going to be about the size of those two buildings. It's kind of an irregular shaped building that's going to be on the other side of the layout, just to balance it out. It's very much in line with the same glass structures that you see there. That one, and I have a lake somewhere in here that I also decided to do. Very simple prints here, and this is just a two-part. This fits inside here, and I have placed this this kind of boat here with these. These are people actually that are at the 176 scale that I ended up buying, just to see how this would look and proportions, get an idea of proportions. But this is the lake, just to mimic a lake. It's not a complex part, and it's not meant to be something complex. And this boat is way out of scale here, but it's what I had. I'm actually going to do. I don't know, maybe do a some kind of a sprinkler system inside this lake, kind of to mimic a fountain. I think that would look nice as a fountain instead of just a little small lake. So I may opt to do that. It depends on my mood, when I get up and do these things and start thinking, what can I do? What else can I do to embellish this? And I mean, you can go crazy here and coming up with things, and but there's got to be a time where you have to stop and call it done, at some point, because otherwise it can go forever. And given my nature, I tend to get very, very deeply involved once I start a project. There's no end to it. Sometimes my wife has to pull me away from doing these things, because I can get easily involved in very deep, in these things, to the point that I keep refining or keep expanding. And so, but I think it's pretty much done. I'm eager to run these cars, make the layout on the 8x4 sheet, get this already assembled there permanently, because that's a permanent setup. I have some other tracks that I showed, some other videos that I've been working on for this particular table here. This is my kitchen table. It's 53 inches by 53 inches, and I did another track just to fit this one, that I can assemble it and take down whenever I'm done playing with these little cars. But the other one's going to need a space, maybe in my garage, a more permanent track that once it's there, none of these items are going to be able to be removed. So that's a track that that requires thought and requires the space, to do so. I've been kind of hesitant to dive right into assembling all this on that permanent track, because I need the room, number one. And then I need to also establish a way to do all the wiring underneath, which I'm working on, and a control panel so that I can control all the lights. These things have lights. All the buildings are illuminated. I have a bunch of these lights that I've also been working on for the track and this bridge here, and just this fantasy city here. So I have to work on that. And just it's just a matter of making the room right now for that 8x4 sheet of plywood, and where I can assemble all these things. But pretty much I have all the components ready to go on there, and what you're seeing here is a good portion of that. So stay tuned for more videos, which I will be making as I continue with this project.